Hey everybody, Caleb here, and today I've got another old guild. This is a guild F50. I haven't had time to look up the year yet, but I'll probably do that here as soon as I set it down. And really, it's got some more binding issues. I thought the last one with binding issues I did was pretty bad, but this one is maybe a little worse. Beyond that, it's really not too bad. It's actually like set up fairly low. Um, just a few little things to fix. I'm noticing maybe a couple of wood cracks we could address, but beyond, not terribly bad. So I think we'll set this down and start looking at where we're going to start. Well, if you saw the last guild binding repair that I did, this is coming to me from the same person. And so I'm going to do very similar things to this one. I've already got the tape out and the glue is sitting out. I'm going to start on this side here. What I'm actually going to start off doing is taking my the scalpel blade, it's flat, and just scraping off any junk. Because there definitely is some junk in here. We'll just do the inside real quick as well. Alright, that's not bad. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this side up. Squeeze this in best I can. If I try and stretch this out, I'm really just going to break it. So there's no point in me trying to get more than I'm going to get out of it when I'm not going to get it. So we'll put a little bit of glue in there. And of course I'm using this canopy glue. This is used, or the intention is like model airplanes. Doing the plastic canopies to the wooden airplanes, and that's basically what I'm doing here, and it holds that pretty well, and so we do that to this to help hold this plastic binding onto the wooden guitar. It's also water cleanup, so that's good. That one's not wanting to come. I'm thinking I might need a long clamp to just get all the way around it. I'm gonna have to move this so I can stretch this out. That actually seems pretty well pulled in there. Like it's not going to fight me any. So I'll give that however much time it wants to dry. And we'll move on from there. What I might do now, while this is drying, is take a look at this. This is loose here, but how loose up in here is it? How loose down into the lower bout is it? Be worth taking a look at and seeing where we're at. Alright, so actually this has had some time to dry, so we'll start working on this side. I've got it went loose all the way up to there and all the way back to here. So we got some work to do to get this glued up. But we're trying a new camera angle. If it turns out looking good, I may use it again, and if it doesn't, we won't use it again. But we're going to try this. So let's get some glue in here. Start taping this up. I squeeze it to make sure there's not going to get too much glue squeeze out. Like get up, glue squeeze out. Alright, that's most of it. There is still this piece down here. I think I'm going to wait until this is dry so I can use the clamp to pull that in. I think that's just going to work out a little bit better. And that ought to get that in really good shape, at least the top. You can probably see there is a lot more binding to fix here. This is loose. It's broken on this side. I think both ends of the headstock are loose. We got a lot more work ahead yet. So making some progress is good. So we'll give this a little bit more time to dry and see where we go on from here. So I figured it's about time to start working on this headstock. I was kind of thinking about this between clips here, about why I'm not going to replace the binding, why I'm just kind of fixing it the way it is. And really, this is an old guitar. This is a guitar from 1957. I think if it didn't look like an old guitar, we were doing something a little bit wrong. So I am opting to fix or re-glue the binding rather than replace. If the customer wants me to replace it, then that's what I'll do, but that's not what we had talked about. So I am currently of the opinion of, let's fix it the best we can and keep it as original as we can for what it is. All right, that's pretty good. Keep working our way around here and getting at what else we can. Stuck back down. Well, I got the string out of the way. Probably should have taken them off already by now, but I haven't been too worried about it. There's a lot of tape on this headstock. All right. I think that's going to be just about good. I forgot one little piece here, but that string's in the way, so I'll get that in a little bit. But I'll let most of this dry, probably for quite a few hours to get it nice and good. Of course, nice and good, yeah. But get that nice and set, and then we can move on to something else. Alright, so I finally glued up all the binding that's still on this guitar. So now what I'm going to do is go through and fill in any of the gaps. All that I actually have left to do is put in the final outside white strip. I've gone ahead and done the black and white stuff that fills in the other pieces that we're missing or that have shrunk so much. So all I have left is just this outside strip. So I've got this white binding that I'm going to use. The way I'm going to measure this stuff is take my calipers, open them up in the slot that I need to fill, lock them down, take the edge of the binding here, and I can just set this on here, run my calipers up against it, up against the edge, and then take a sharp blade and just cut it. That cut off of there, I'll test fit it just to make sure that it's going to fit well. It's maybe just a hair too big, so I'll take a file and just remove a little bit. Still not quite there. Need to make sure this edge is nice and straight. Alright, so I think that's fitting in there now, in this gap. So it does fit in there now, and I'm going to use some super glue to tack that in there. I think that's just going to be my best option to get it fitting well and quickly. I've got two little tools, two little dental picks that I'm going to use. To do this job. Step one is get some CA glue on one of them. Get this into place. I might be able to just do this like this. So I'm just I'm getting a dot of super glue on the edge of the dental pick, and then just kind of working it around. These fill strips are going to be too tall yet, so it does take some shaping once it's put into place. But just getting us started here, getting this strip in is kind of the biggest thing. And solid. That's looking pretty good. So we'll let that sit for a while. That CA glue should set up pretty quickly, like basically instantly, but of course it's always doing the most inconvenient option. Set that aside and start working on the other gap. So in the same vein, I'm going to measure it with my calipers. Lock it in. Bring over my flat surface. Line it up. And start the cut. So we cut that off. Test fit it. Let's see here. I think that'll work just fine. I need to turn this around so I can really see what I'm doing. that's looking really good. Get the glue back out. Sometimes I have to use this point to kind of hold it in place, but this has been working pretty well, so we've been doing pretty good. All right. That's the only two fill spots I'm going to do on the top. All the others are, where it's broken is not enough. I think it's going to look worse to try and fill them than it is to just leave it the way it is. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'll give that just a few seconds to dry and we can start working those down. But essentially, all I got to do now is take a file with a safe edge, preferably, and just kind of run that like this to start taking the top off of those and getting it to be the perfect shape. Alright, so I've gone ahead and filled them all in, and I'm coming down to this last one here to actually file off the excess. I'm just taking a file and running it through here. This doesn't take super long to file through this plastic and get it nice and lined up. That's actually pretty darn close. So that's about the last one I gotta do here. And then what I'll do is I'll come through with some tape. Just tape up the edges. The edges of where I want to get some color, that is. And then I can come back through with the amber shellac and color that nice and perfect, and that'll match really, really well. So I'll just take a little bit of amber shellac on a brush, and then just put a little on there. This might take a coat or two to get it really close in color. So I'll leave the tape on there for a little while and wait for that to dry and put maybe another coat on. We'll see how it looks. But basically, I just put a little bit of amber shellac on and keep going until it matches real good. So all the binding has had time to dry on the amber shellac, and it's looking really good. Like, I think it's looking far better than it was. The thing I'm looking at now is right around the sound hole, there's a little bit of a break or some loose wood. What I think has happened here is as the rosette has shrunk, it's just decided to break the wood out. I can push this back in where it goes though, so we're going to put some glue in there and clamp it down for a while. This shouldn't be too much of a big deal. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just put a block on here, right at the edge to kind of even out the pressure if I can, and then put a clamp in there. If I can get that clamp evened out on that brace, then it won't slide off. Alright, that's way better. You can probably see just the corner there. That lines up a lot better. And I'll push that down in, give that some time to dry, and that'll be looking really good. While that's drying, there is something else that needs done. This saddle needs some work. I noticed it lined up really well on the treble side and overhangs on the bass side. I don't know how well you can see that at this angle, but it's not quite right. You can probably see here I can fit the pencil underneath it. It's overhanging. It needs to match that kind of bevel a little bit better. So I'm just going to mark this. Needs to stop about here, not way out here. So I'll go kind of fix this on the sander. Basically, I'm just going to take off like this. Take off that much, that way it bevels out nicely and doesn't overhang the slot any, because the slot goes all the way through, so it's allowing the saddle to go further too far. So if I just knock that off, then it won't hang over and you won't get poked in the hand by the edge of the saddle. So that should be an easy fix, and then we can get going on something else. Well, I've been working on getting this thing cleaned up, and it may not exactly look like it, but it is a lot cleaner than it was. Buffing it and oiling the raw wood. The fretboard doesn't need any work, not really. I just oiled the fretboard. The frets are all perfect as they are. They're polished high enough. It's not worth spending much time on. I'm ready to start restringing this thing, I think. I don't think there's anything else I want to hit with this, so I've got the pins back out and I've got a set of strings here, so I'm ready to start stringing this thing up. So we've got this thing up to tune finally. So we're going to check the setup real quick. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's going to need a whole lot. Perfect, 90 thousandths, just what I want. And the treble string. It's just a hair under 80. That's like absolutely perfect. Cool. So we got that smoothed out now. The setup is looking really good. I think all it's left to do is to actually play this thing. So I'll go get set up to play it. We'll do a little bit of playing it, and then I can box it up and send it on its way. Well, we got the binding nice and fixed on this thing. I think at, any playable distance, you'll never know there was anything wrong with it. And it still looks like an old guitar, which is, what you're looking for this sort of thing. So, it plays really good, but, I think it played pretty good beforehand. There wasn't a whole lot of setup to do. Just cleaning it up and making it look good. So I hope you enjoyed watching this little bit of binding repair on this old Guild. Glad to see it finished and looking good. Hopefully we get this sent back to it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.